And cars. Well, he may not have been in the limelight the last few years, but he's never stopped making music. His new album took a year and a half to create, and it's just recently been released. We'll be talking to Gary a little later on in the programme, but for now, let's take a look at his new video, the title track to his new LP, Machine and Soul.
She likes film, pictures too. A friend of mine, something new. She likes girls, lives my dreams, eats my face. She sits on the naked screen. No rain, she don't like tears. No one drives his corruption. And dance together. She likes pain, eat, please both. Some heroes, but she don't like love. She likes rock, MTV, sex machines. She sits on the making thing. No romance, no surprise. No one chooses perfection. Together and dance together. So this is my secret. So this is a new way to ride. So this is my nightmare, and you're my solution. Together and dance together. She scares me. My one chance is emotion. Together and dance together. So this is religion. So this is something to believe. Together and dance together. So this is conspiracy. So this is a new kind of love. Together and dance together. So this is a new world and young.
Good stuff. Touch of the old AC/DC, isn't there, in the old guitarist bicycle shorts? We think so.
Now, back in the late 70s, our next guest epitomised electronic sound with hit singles like Cars and Our Friends Electric. He's since established himself in other areas of the business. For his new album, he wrote, co-produced and engineered most of the songs himself in his own studio. Earlier, we showed Gary Numan's new video, the title track of his recently released LP, Machine and Soul. I say good morning to Gary Numan. It's really good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
I remember, well, we were just talking earlier on about Our Friends Electric and Cars and all the discos and everything like that. We remember you. Where did you go? What happened to you? What have you been doing?
I've made about 14 albums since then, and I don't make an album every year, but pretty much every year, and I tour every year. The problem is, if people don't hear you on the radio, then they think you're not working, and the difficulty at the moment is getting on the radio for me. It has been for some time, but I do work constantly.
Right, and you've got very, very loyal fans. I mean, you know, reading about you, your fans are incredibly loyal. Always buy the albums, turn up to the concerts, have like Gary Numan conventions, you know, the whole thing. I mean, they seem incredibly...
Yeah. Got a good convention soon, actually, in a few weeks.
That's
Big one
right.
in London.
In Piccadilly, they're going to be doing that. What do they do at these conventions, and do you go along?
This is the first one I've gone to, so I'm not really
You're
sure.
not sure what's going to happen?
I think they have stalls and they have a disco in the evening and they just play all the music.
Right.
I think they buy and sell rare records. They look at bits. I always send along stuff, you know, stage costumes and bits of aeroplanes that are broken around me, things like that. and just things of interest really. It's stage props. In the past I've had little cars I used to drive around in on stage, and robots and things like that, and all that sort of stuff goes along to them.
Sure. Now your other main passion, of course, as well as music, is planes, is flying.
Yes.
Are you still doing as much of that? Because
I am at the moment, although I'm probably going to start backing off on it next year and devote everything to this really. I might even sell the aeroplane, I'm not quite sure yet.
oh, that would be a range, would it not?
Well, it's, yeah, it would, but it's such a distraction. And I do love it, I love it very much. At the moment I'm what they call an evaluator, which means that if you want to be a display pilot you have to be authorised for it, and to get that you have to be examined effectively, and that's what I do.
So you're one of the examiners. I mean, it's not just something you dabble in, it's not just a hobby, you actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they call it evaluating because there's no exam as such, you're not an examiner. But we work for the authority, Civil Aviation Authority, to make sure that the right people are doing it, really, and so that what you don't want is somebody with vast amounts of money coming in buying a high-performance aeroplane and going out and killing himself and half the crowd.
Right.
So we try to make sure that it's regulated and that good people are flying good airplanes, really.
Right. Was this always something that you were interested in, flying? Has it always been there from you were very, very young?
Yeah, before.
It wasn't the fact that you were, you know, a lot of times when people get into sort of pop music.
Yeah, get some money and do something.
Yeah, and they think, oh, well, you know, I'll buy this and I want that car and I want this fast thing and, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I did some of that, but I with cars and so on, but I was interested in airplanes long before. I was in the Air Training Corps when I was 13.
Right.
I used to go to air shows when I was younger, so it was always a long-standing interest, and the music business just helped me to get into it more than I could have done otherwise.
Right.
But now, having gone all through it, and I'm coming full circle again, really. It's finding the enthusiasm for the music business again, which has been gone for a long time, sadly.
Yeah.
But now it's there.
It feels as if it's come back. Because I mean,
like a
really,
second childhood.
when you were about, what, 23, 24, you more or less, you kind of shied away from it all, didn't you? You sort of almost turned your back on it.
I'm not natural at it. I'm not a particularly outward-going person. I'm very relatively quiet and shy, and I keep myself to myself, really. And so suddenly becoming the centre of things, I found very difficult, and I was very young as well, and not particularly worldly. I still lived at home when I became famous, and so I found it quite hard to take the way the public dealt with you. I found very difficult, and it takes a long time to grow up and to learn what there is about the business to enjoy and learn what to avoid, and to learn how to be natural with being famous, if you like, in the public eye. And it took me too long, I think, really. And by the time I'd got used to it, the good bit was all past me. So I kind of blew it.
No,
it could have been a real laugh.
Well, that's a shame, isn't it? Because you didn't really realise, oh, this is great, because you're probably too busy sort of worrying about it.
Yeah, too busy trying to deal with it. Yeah.
But it's all going to happen for you again.
Well, maybe hope so.
If you're going to put, you know, 100% into it, like you're saying before, the past sort of, you know, the past 10 years, can't believe it's 10 years.
13, actually.
13 years, is it? Good grief. Good grief. I know.
Suddenly feel much older.
Absolutely, yes, you do,
Yeah,
very
look
much so.
at them.
I know, because we had the Stranglers in the other day as well, and you're sort of remembering all their older stuff as well. It's amazing. Stay with us, we're going to talk to you lots more.
Sure,
It's really, really
thanks.
good to see you.
Thank
Great
you.
stuff, thank you.
Yes, it's very. Never had to work the clubs in the early stage of your career.
No, I was lucky. I skipped it. But I think that's a great deal of learning to be done by doing them, and I regret not doing them for the experience of it. But it can be unpleasant, I think.
It is the greatest apprenticeship you can serve, really, in the northern clubs.
If you survive that, you can survive anything. They used to say it was the old Glasgow Empire.
This is what this
For comedians.
Yeah.
Comedians graveyard, particularly English comedians, unfortunately. I think Des O'Connor once was going down so well that he pretended to faint. I was carried
I
off.
must remember that. I'm going to try that.
Remember that one, when it's not going all that well.
I've got this suspicion that they would have stopped the real Elvis to announce the raffle.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, that bell.
I know, it's
Yeah,
extraordinary. When you were in America, and you've been in America, did you find that audiences generally are more receptive in America than they are here? Because British audiences do get a reputation for sort of saying, OK, entertain me, I'm sitting back now, entertain me.
I think if you're trying to become successful, then yes, that's very true. The Americans are more receptive and more helpful with new people, but if you're established, then it's pretty much the same the world over. So it's a little bit awkward for me to say, because I was never trying here. I mean, the first night she went out live here, I was already #1. So
are you going to be doing some live stuff? Are you thinking?
Not for a while. No, I blew it. I did a tour in April, and I was late with the record because the record's just come out.
Right.
And so it's too early after that tour to tour again. So I've made a mess of it, really.
And what about, it's refreshingly honest, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Refreshingly honest. I think it's great, it's really, really good. Satonic. Are you going to be doing like maybe Europe, Japan, all of that whole sort of circuit? Because it seems to be like with a lot of sort of like rock stars, pop stars, they're put onto this sort of train, aren't they? And they just sort of, you know, you must do this, you must do the German TV, the French TV, you've got to go to Japan.